Hello, everyone. Welcome to Alphawisdom, and this is the channel for learning how to read palms. The lessons offered here are easy to understand, and you will move at a rapid pace. I am Mystic Cassandria. My website is alphawisdom.love. All information about me, contact, and etc. is listed below this video. Today's lesson is number 38. In this lesson, we complete our discussion of the gap between the headline and the lifeline. There are just a couple of other things to mention about this, and that's where we will start. Okay, here's an example of what we're talking about, the gap between these two lines, headline and lifeline. There is no connection between the two at the beginning. The beginning, of course, is between the thumb and the index finger. You'll see that that lifeline starts on its own from the beginning. And you'll also notice in the lifeline, there seems to be disruption in the energy. That's why the line appears to be a little ragged. We have that same thing in the headline, but it's not as strong as with the lifeline. Now, the other thing to consider here is when the child comes into the world with this kind of independence, this kind of gap, not only is it in thinking, because this indicates automatically this person is independent, likes to make up their own mind at that young age. We find that there are some young ones that are separated physically from the parent. Now, this may be in a couple of ways. Perhaps the parent is there occasionally, but there's not strong nurturing for the child. The child, it's almost as though they almost don't need it because their mind is so strong in their thinking. Another example is that the child was never connected to this family. Usually the gap is a little wider for this. And they know of the parent. They may have had contact with the parent, but as far as their upbringing, there is no strong connection there. And if there was a problem with any particular parent, let's say the male, the father, in this example, we look at the little finger, the Mercury finger, which involves communication. The finger is not low set. It's setting normally. We talked about this in an earlier lesson. So then there is no problem there with the father. It's almost as though when the child entered into this lifeline, they knew what they wanted intuitively, or they felt they understood more than we think of someone understanding at that young age. All right, let's have a look at another example of a gap. Now, here's another example. When we find the gaps, remember there's usually disruption with the lifeline and there's disruption with the headline. There's independent, very clear. And with this individual, if we take a look at the lifeline, there is disruption with the connection with the family. Even though there's a lot of independence here, there are problems here. And this continues with the family through the teens, from the beginning of life through the teens, and going into early 20s before there is some clarity with that lifeline. Now, with the headline, this is showing that this person is really trying hard. It's a struggle, mental struggle, and it indicates that the disruption of the energy may give too much on the mind, and then we have, as a result, stress, too much tension. And this stays with this individual on this hand till they are about 31, 32. Okay, so it's always an issue with that stress. We don't always find each hand that has the separation looking like this, but usually there is disruption on the headline and certainly on the lifeline. Okay? All right. We leave this and go into something, another example of a lifeline. And we see the wideness there and disruption in the headline. Again, disruption in the heart line. We find this on many hands. So you compare both hands. To be able to evaluate this or analyze it, we always look at both hands and see if there's a potential for this issue in the passive hand and whether it will affect the right hand, the active hand. Sometimes we see a connection with the headline and the lifeline in the passive hand, but for some reason, this individual chose to have a gap there. And so you will not see a connection with both lines. It'll be a separation. Okay? All right. All right, I hope that was clear. So we're finished with the gaps between the headline and the lifeline. All right, I hope you're following along and you're taking a quick look at both your hands and see where you stand on this. We all have some independence. Some starts later and others come in with it starting at the beginning. Okay, if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you have subscribed, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Until next time, bye.